First at 4 o'clock, tracking rain showers moving in, and that rain will become more widespread overnight. We'll talk about the timing coming up.
And perhaps some folks getting a jump on that rain. We're seeing a good crowd downtown, and it's been a while since we've driven with wet roads.
The charges against the Fulton County jailers accused in the death of Anthony May have been reinstated. I'm Bobeth Yates, and coming up, I have details on the recent Georgia Supreme Court ruling.
And in an hour, the Braves and the Phillies face off in Game 3 of the NLDS. We are live in Philly on the latest with this matchup.
11 Alive News at 4 p.m. starts now.
And we'd like to wish you a great afternoon and welcome to 11 Alive News at 4. I'm Jonathan Martin.
And I'm Faith Jesse, and we're starting our news an hour earlier now to catch you up on what's going on in your neighborhood.
And today that especially means making sure you know what's going on with the weather and traffic because there is some rain out there that could impact your evening commute. So we've got meteorologist Melissa Nord here along with Atlanta's traffic expert Crash Clark here. And Melissa, the rain is moving in.
It's moving in, and this is the wettest stretch for us in more than 3 weeks.
Wow.
It's been really dry.
Yeah.
So as this rain comes down, little buildup of oils on the roadway. I think that might play an impact on this evening commute. But look at this slug of moisture moving in from the Gulf of Mexico. Rain not reaching the ground everywhere yet, but I am starting to track some of those light showers on the Cobb and Cherokee County lines right around Ackworth, heading up towards Lake Altoona. This is really light. Very light, just a couple sprinkles on the windshield, but there is a lot more moisture that's starting to move its way in. You can see here, we're looking south of the city down I-85 towards LaGrange and Troup County and Meriwether counties where we got the rain reaching the ground there. In Atlanta, it's still cloudy. It is still dry overlooking that Georgia Tech camera. 73 degrees, look at that. Airport just came in with their 4 o'clock observation recording a little bit of light rain activity. So the atmosphere saturating. Here, where do we go from here? Rain showers moving in this evening during that evening commute. Then that rain becomes more widespread overnight, and it will hang around to start that commute tomorrow morning. We'll talk about that part of the forecast and look ahead to a cooler weekend coming up. But with those rain showers moving in, that could do a number on your evening commute. Crash Clark, what's the latest?
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Melissa. When we get a little bit of rain with a little bit of that oil on the roads, that's when things get really slick out there. We're already seeing a little bit of volume. Maybe some folks are saying, hey, we're not going to wait for that rain. We're going to go ahead and get out of here and do our business. Connector northbound, we had some trouble before 10th Street. Good news is that's been pushed out of the way, just about cleared up. But we're looking right there. That's the connector southbound. So already seeing some of those delays beginning along I-85 as you get past 400, making your way past Atlantic Station. Pretty standard stuff, really. Gonna give you condition red just because of that volume from Brookwood to the south side. It'll take you a good 20 minutes coming in from the south side. Pretty much the same thing, about 18 to 20 minutes. And there you go. That's that volume on the connector southbound. Basically, we are waiting for the rain. Jonathan?
We are, Crash. Thank you. And you can track the weather in your neighborhood by downloading the 11 Alive News app. Just scan the QR code on your screen and you can get it for free.
All right, breaking right now, officials say that they have found a gun at East Jackson Comprehensive High School today. That's in Jackson County. School officials say school resource officers were notified of a loaded handgun this morning. They say the student was immediately taken into custody by the Jackson County Sheriff's Office and will face criminal charges. No one was hurt.
Also today, police are investigating after they received threats of a person with a gun at Arlington Christian School in Fairburn. However, officials say there are no reported injuries and no suspects have been located. They say this is still an ongoing investigation. We, of course, will bring you new information just as soon as we get it.
All right, and tonight we are learning about another arrest made after a woman's body was found in a trunk outside of Gwinnett County Spa. Police say the discovery led them to a house of horrors hiding in one neighborhood. So warrants show that Mihi Lee is now the 7th person arrested in connection to this case. She is charged with false imprisonment. Police say she is the mother of the 3 other suspects in this case. So police say the victim was a South Korean national. Her body found in a trunk of a car last month outside Jeju Sauna in Duluth. Police say she was brought from South Korea under the impression she was joining a religious organization. Then they say she was held in the basement of a home where she was beaten and starved to death. One of the suspects, Eric Nguyen, actually has a bond hearing that just went on recess. It's revealing some new details in this case. His defense team claimed he escaped from the home with the victim's body and that he was also being abused. Prosecutors, though, say he was a willing participant. Now, this is a very complicated case with a lot of layers. We are digging deeper into it tonight. That's coming up on 11 Alive News at 5.
The Georgia Supreme Court today reversed a ruling that threw out murder charges against 6 Fulton County jailers. This was for the death of an inmate from 2018. Our Bobeth Yates has been following this story. She's live with more. Bobeth.
Well, Jonathan, Antonio Mays died here at the Fulton County Jail back in 2018, and those accused in his murder are back to work because the charges were dropped. But all of that could change based on the Supreme Court's ruling. Now, the Fulton County DA tells me they are moving forward with the trial against the 6 jailers indicted in the murder of Antonio May. Wednesday, Georgia Supreme Court overturned the previous ruling, dropping the charges. A lower court originally revised the indictment, claiming the jailers were peace officers and should have been given the opportunity to participate in the indictment process. The charges were dropped, and based on that technicality, and now that the charges have been reinstated, May's family members are celebrating that this case could soon go to trial.
I spoke with my family members once I heard it, and I spoke to his sister as well, and she's very excited as well. We just want to have justice. After watching those videos, justice needs to be served.
Now, coming up at 5, I have more from the attorneys representing one of the jailers and why they say their fight is not over. Sending it back to you guys.
Tonight, we are learning more about who could testify in Fulton County's sprawling election interference trial. The judge has ordered RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, and a Wisconsin GOP official to testify. So the development raises the stakes for the first trial, which will be televised. The judge determined McDaniel and Jones are both, quote, a necessary material witness in this prosecution. The defendants in the trial, pro-Trump attorney Kenneth Chesbro and Trump campaign lawyer Sidney Powell, have pleaded not guilty. Jury selection is set to begin later this month. All right, let's take a live look right now. You are taking a look at the city of brotherly love, aka Philadelphia, and you're looking at Citizens Bank Park. That is where the Braves hope tonight that they can knock off the Phillies and take a 2-1 lead in the National League Division Series. I know a lot of people at home sending some energy up there to Philly tonight. The Braves grabbed their first win of the series in exciting comeback fashion in Game 2. That took place on Monday night.
It did, and the Braves are really hoping they can jump out first tonight.
Yeah.
Now, our Maria Martin is in what you might call enemy territory as the Braves are getting ready for first pitch in just about an hour. Hey, Maria.
Hey, Jonathan. Yeah, this series is tied 1-1 as we get ready for Game 3 here at Citizens Bank Park, and we do know who's going to take the mound for the Atlanta Braves. It will be Bryce Elder, meaning the Braves are going a little bit more of a traditional route on the mound for Game 3. Bryce Elder, he started 31 games this season. He was an all-star, but in the second half of the year, he did struggle. If you look at the numbers and the statistics, the 2 halves of the year really tell a different story. He really did take a downward turn in the back half of the season. However, manager Brian Snitker said that the inter-squad games last week is what gave them all the confidence to give him the ball in Game 3. That and the added rest for Bryce, meaning he could be ready to go tonight. His buddy, his teammate Spencer Strider, said that he has so much confidence that Bryce Elder will come out and do really well for Game 3.
Well, I think he's in a great place. I mean, this is the postseason, so you could throw your regular season stats, your law of averages, all that out the window. And I'm an analytical, statistical guy, but at the end of the day, we're trying to win one game today, and then we'll focus on tomorrow when we get there. But I couldn't think of anybody better to hand the ball to, and like I said, we're focused on just competing as hard as we can, being as confident as we can, and I know that's what Bryce is going to do.
Brian Snitker also said pregame that Spencer Strider will get the ball for Game 4. And Strider also talked about the atmosphere here at the bank. It is notoriously loud in this place. He said he does love that environment and that it's good for baseball. He also added a nod of confidence and that Bryce Elder will be ready for the noise.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of noise. Maria, thanks so much. And Maria was mentioning earlier that the players there in this stadium, they can actually, the fans can hover over the players in the dugout. So it's kind of an interesting place to play, but they've got it. I think so.
That's why we all wore pink.
Yes.
Blending the red and the blue for Braves.
Yes, I like, you know what? I didn't think about that.
No. breast cancer awareness.
That is a hostile environment. Don't let anybody fool you about Philadelphia. If I was ever driving to New York, I would stop before Philadelphia and take a helicopter over that city to New York. That is how bad Philadelphia is. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Those
Keep it
fans are
real.
terrible. We need to get in there, get an early lead, and quiet that
I'm right
crowd.
there with you, man.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. All right, what's still ahead tonight? Your next chance to become a billionaire. We have everything you need to know about tonight's big Powerball drawing.
And as the war between Hamas and Israel ramps up, there are now claims that America's tax money is going towards funding the terrorist organization. Our Verified team is separating fact from fiction. You're watching 11 Alive News at 4.
And we've got movement across the top end, 285 westbound as we go through Sandy Springs. But have you ever heard of a rhythmic rush hour? I'm going to tell you all about it when we come right back.
Welcome back to 11 Alive News at 4 o'clock. The death toll in the Israel-Hamas war just keeps rising, and that includes Americans. Our Ron Jones is here tonight with the latest on what's going on in the Mideast.
Yeah, that's right, Jonathan. Exactly. So the State Department says that the number of U.S. citizens confirmed killed in the war now stands at 22, Jonathan. So here's some other headlines that we're following on that war. The United States is conducting what is called active conversations to allow for the safe passage of civilians out of Gaza. That includes Americans. A White House national security spokesperson says that Israel and Egypt are helping out, which is so important. Also today, Israel has created a war cabinet to oversee how they plan on responding to Hamas. And Gaza's only power plant is now out of fuel, forcing it to shut down after Israel cut off its supplies. And the war in Israel, folks, is making for the search for a House Speaker even more urgent. And tonight, there's a new Republican nominee. Majority Leader Steve Scalise beat out Jim Jordan to win the House GOP's nomination for the post. At this point, it's unclear whether Scalise can get enough votes to push him over the top. So right now, he needs at least 218 to win the speakership. After the vote, Scalise said his top priority is to get the House working once again.
The first order of business under Speaker Steve Scalise is going to bring a strong resolution expressing support for Israel. We've got a very bipartisan bill. The McCall-Meeks resolution ready to go right away to express our support for Israel.
So here's what's going to happen next. There will be a vote before the full House, and that could happen at any moment because we're monitoring that. Our team is here in the newsroom. Meanwhile, Democrats are expected to nominate their own person for the post.
All right, Ron, thank you so much for that update.
Sure.
So we want to talk about this conflict in the Middle East. Hamas, the terrorist organization, has been supported by Iran for years, but some people claim that support led directly to this attack and that it was made possible by American taxpayer money given to Iran by President Biden. Here's Casey Decker to verify.
Our sources: the U.S. Departments of State and Treasury, the National Security Council, and the Congressional Research Service. In 2018, President Trump pulled out of President Obama's Iran deal, reinstating several sanctions against Iran. But some countries like South Korea rely on Iranian oil, so the Trump administration granted a few temporary waivers so they could still buy oil from Iran. When those waivers expired 6 months later, about $6 billion in oil money was on its way to Iran from South Korea. The banks involved in that transaction froze the money, fearing that if they didn't, they'd face American sanctions. The money was unfrozen about a month ago, so Iran now has access to the money, but the U.S. State Department says it could only be used for humanitarian purposes. The Treasury Department and National Security Council said this week Iran has yet to actually touch the money. Still, some people have argued that since Iran knows that money is there, other money that it was going to use for humanitarian purposes can now be redirected to things like support for Hamas. But there's no evidence that's actually happened. Iran does financially support Hamas, but U.S. and Israeli officials say they aren't sure Iran was directly involved in this attack. Iran says it was not. Regardless, we know for certain the U.S. did not send $6 billion in taxpayer money to Iran. It allowed Iran to access an oil payment from South Korea that was frozen in 2019. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
4:16 your time right now. We've had dry weather for much of this month and the tail end of last month, but that is changing now. I'm tracking rain moving in, but how much rain we see is going to widely vary across the area. And I want to show you a big picture on this rainfall forecast map where you notice those rainfall numbers. This is just through tomorrow evening. Not a whole lot up in far north Georgia, up in the mountains, where it might just only be 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch of rain, but that rainfall amount has been looking higher and higher today with each model run coming in. So now it looks like Atlanta could end up with around an inch of rain. And to the south of the metro area, we could have some pockets with 2 to 3 inches of rain. So deep tropical moisture moving in, the most widespread rain, and at times moderate to heavy rain. That's going to stay across central and southern Georgia, but some of that pushes up into our area. So you see big picture. Whole lot of green on the map. It's not just us in Georgia, but Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, who has been dealing with significant drought conditions there. They need this rain, and we need the rain too. We've got a rain deficit over 3.5 inches for the fall so far. But where is it raining now? Not quite reaching the ground for everyone here inside the perimeter, but I am noticing that rain starting to reach the ground in parts of the southwestern metro area, tracking some of that shower activity. Very light in nature, starting to push into southern Fulton County. Also, as we travel up towards the Rome area, Floyd County, we've got some light rain reaching the ground there. We'll travel south along I-75 from McDonough to Griffin. This is just really light, more like sprinkles on the windshield. But over the course of the next couple of hours, those few sprinkles turn into rain, and that rain will turn steadier, and at times overnight could be moderate at times. So it's a good soaking rain south of I-20. Rainfall totals lighter to the north. But here's the hour-by-hour forecast track showing those showers increasing in coverage over the next couple of hours for us. By 9 o'clock tonight, this rain is fairly widespread. So it's going to be steady in the overnight. You notice where it's yellow and orange on the map? That is where the rain amounts are going to be highest. So we'll see moderate rain continuing overnight. And then first thing tomorrow morning, we're still starting out the door with some showers. But that widespread rain by 7 o'clock is clearing east of our area. And then showers will taper off between there and noon. And we should have a dry, breezy, cooler afternoon tomorrow with increasing sunshine. So rain moving in now, moves out first thing tomorrow morning, turning breezy and cooler tomorrow afternoon. Another 40% chance of some showers moving in later on Friday, but that'll be a precursor to our next cold front. And behind that cold front, turns colder for the weekend. In fact, by Saturday, remember how chilly last Sunday was? That's how this Sunday is going to end up being. See those cloudy skies over Atlanta right now? It's 73 degrees, and around the metro, we're sitting in the low 70s. But overnight tonight, we'll track that widespread rain. Tomorrow afternoon, a high of 70. For Friday, 40% chance of a few showers, and then that all clears out for the weekend. You notice Saturday still mild at 77, but colder air comes rushing in. Sunday afternoon, 65. Will stay chilly for much of next week.
All right, Melissa, thank you. Americans are now buried in trillions of dollars in debt. So how can you dig your way out? Our Jennifer Bellamy here with a look at what's coming up tonight at 5.
Yeah, if you're struggling with past due payments, you're certainly not alone. Tonight, we have tips on paying down your balance.
I'm Tracy McPeer in Atlanta, where a city council member tells me they've heard police patrols at city parks are dropping. I'll tell you what they're doing to find out, coming up at 5.
Plus, the traumatic events of Israel can cause stress and anxiety, especially among our children. Professional advice on how to speak with your kids about the ongoing situation. That's all new and next when we see you tonight at 5.
All right, once again, we are hours away from someone hopefully here in Georgia becoming an instant multi-millionaire. Maybe you are the one. Tonight, the Powerball drawing will have an estimated $1.73 billion with a B jackpot up for grabs with a cash value of a meager $756.6 million. Just some pocket change, right? Well, the last time this jackpot was hit was back in mid-July with the winning ticket sold in Los Angeles. Powerball says the overall odds of winning any prize are about 1 in 25. But the odds of matching all 5 white balls and that red Powerball, 1 in 292.2 million.
Maybe
so
tonight
there's
is
still
the
a
night.
chance.
I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe there's. Do you have a ticket?
I have not gotten a ticket. I always say, I need to play, but then I never play.
Well, Mr. Crash Clark, aren't you the lottery player?
I have played. I have not played tonight. I will get my ticket, though, because I mean, look, I barely missed it last week by 5 numbers. That was it.
Did you win anything?
I was in. No,
Oh,
I got
by
nothing.
5 numbers.
Hey, if you don't play, you can't win, so
That
give
is
it a
true.
shot.
That's what they always say.
Love it. All right. Well, hopefully one of you guys wins. Let's talk about this. A plane crash last night in Clayton County leaves 2 people hurt. Coming up in our next half hour, we're learning more about what led to the crash and hear from neighbors who witnessed the aftermath.
Also, Jada Pinkett Smith now says she and her husband Will Smith, well, they've been living separate lives and been doing it for a while. Some shocking news today that they told NBC. You're watching 11 Alive News at 4. All right, welcome back, everyone. All new. Jada Pinkett Smith is now revealing the truth about her relationship with Will Smith. During an exclusive interview with NBC's Hoda Kotb, Pinkett Smith revealed she and Will Smith have been separated since 2016 and have lived completely separate lives, she said. Even though they continued to appear together as a couple in public, Pinkett Smith is opening up more about her relationship ahead of the release of her new memoir called Worthy. All right, Seinfeld fans, if you've been waiting for a reunion to happen, it just might happen. During a stand-up comedy show in Boston last week, Jerry Seinfeld hinted that he's working with the co-creator of the legendary sitcom on an idea that would pick up where the series left off. Now, the show ended in 1998 with the four main characters, you might remember, going to jail for violating a Good Samaritan law. And a lot of people didn't like the ending, so they're hoping maybe they can come back. We'll see. Swifties, are you ready for this? And by it, we are talking about the Eras Tour movie set to hit the theaters this weekend. Multiple theater chains are reporting record pre-sales, and that made Friday the 13th a scary release date for other studio films. But Eras isn't the only major music tour heading to theaters. We've been talking about Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, also set to hit theaters this year in December. So, is this the return of the concert film? At least it seems like it, at least with these two huge stars, Beyonce and Taylor Swift. They're two of the biggest in the world. They can do it.
And I haven't seen either of the tours in person, but from what I've seen on social media, we've seen a lot of it. They are major productions.
They're major.
And so it could be a movie.
And you get to kind of relive it if you were there.
Love it.
Here's Crash.
All right, it's a tractor, trailer, and another vehicle that are just about ready to move. Come on, this is live TV. 85 southbound near Pleasantdale. Of course, that's against the flow, but I still want to tell you about that rhythmic rush hour in Sandy Springs. You'll hear all about it. Melissa?
And I am tracking live. Rain showers coming down. We can see that rain making the pavement wet at our live camera in Noonan. Look at this on live radar. That rain increasing as we head towards Coweta County. We'll have your forecast, how long the rain sticks around, coming up next.